It was just one message, just one glowing line on a cold December morning. "We think it's best if you skip the gathering this year, Leia. We want a calmer vibe for once." Leia Monroe stared at the screen. Her fingers froze above the keyboard. 15 years of memories, all unraveling in a single sentence. For over a decade, she had turned her home into the heart of Christmas, a winter wonderland wrapped in warmth, color, flavor, laughter. Every December, Leia's house was the place where joy lived, where family gathered, where traditions were born, where love came alive. And now she was no longer invited. Not because she failed, but because she was too much. She read the message again, each word colder than the snow on her windowsill. Her hands didn't shake, her lips didn't curse, but something inside her cracked. The woman who gave Christmas her soul had just been asked to sit it out, silently, coldly. Like she never mattered. They never yelled. They didn't need to. Their cruelty came dressed in calm, in little sighs, in eye rolls, in backhanded compliments. "You always go so overboard, Leia. Can't we have just one simple Christmas? You put too much pressure on yourself and everyone else." Too much. That's what they always said. When she stayed up nights perfecting homemade eggnog, she was too obsessed. When she hand-stenciled names on the place cards, she was too controlling. When she made magic out of nothing, they told her it was too showy. But they never offered to help, never planned a dish, never hung a single light. They just watched, judged, shrugged, and now they called her a problem. Not because she failed, but because she made them feel small, because her effort exposed their indifference. And that was the betrayal, not the text, not a party. But the quiet truth, the people she loved most had never truly seen her, only the version they could control, only the version they could quietly erase. It had always been this way. Leia wasn't loud, she wasn't fragile, she was focused, passionate, intentional in everything she did. But in her family, that translated into one word: too much. They called her obsessed when she spent nights perfecting pastry swirls. They rolled their eyes when she color-coded the dessert table. They joked, "Are you like obsessed with parties or something? No one needs all this stuff, Leia." But it wasn't about the stuff. It was about meaning. Every napkin folded just right, every cinnamon stick tied with twine, every ornament chosen with care. Leia was trying to create love through details. But instead of appreciation, she got smirks. Instead of respect, she got silence. They didn't understand her. And because they didn't understand her, they made her the joke. Not out loud, not cruelly, just often enough to make her feel small. And every time she overheard the laughter, it's just Leia being Leia. A part of her soul folded smaller. Leia gave her all, not to impress, but to express love. And yet her every effort was dismissed as showing off. You're always trying to make everything so perfect. You just want people to notice how much you do. No one asked why she stayed up until 3 a.m. hand-tying bows. No one offered to help prep the meals or sweep the snow off the steps. They just showed up, ate, took pictures, and whispered that she was doing too much. The truth, her effort made their laziness uncomfortable. Her passion reminded them of their passiveness. So instead of rising to meet her, they pulled her down to silence her. In Leia's family, there was an unspoken rule: don't be too much, don't stand out, keep the peace. But keeping the peace often meant sacrificing the only person truly trying, the one who cared the most. Because when you dare to love loudly, you threaten those who love quietly, or not at all. And so they called it extra. But what it really was effort they were never willing to match. She didn't scream, she didn't call her mother back, she didn't ask, "Why would you do this to me?" She just typed 2 words: "Perfect, enjoy." Then she locked her phone. No exclamation marks, no passive-aggressive emojis, no explanation, just calm. just closure. Leia didn't fall apart. She redirected, and in that quiet moment, something awakened. She opened her laptop, opened her business Instagram page, and wrote a caption that would change everything. This year, Sweet Legacy will host a holiday dinner for 20 single mothers and their children right here in our founder's home. No bitterness, no revenge, just purpose. Leia wasn't going to chase a seat at their table, she was going to build her own. Leia didn't wait for apologies. She didn't sit in the dark with a glass of wine replaying the text. She got to work. First, she called Jasmine, her best friend and the director of a local outreach center. "I want to host something," Leia said. "Not for the people who shut me out, but for the people who've been shut out their whole lives." Jasmine didn't hesitate. "Let's do it," she said. "The kids would love that." Then came the emails, the phone calls, the lists. Leia pulled out her spiral-bound notebook, the one her brother once called a control freak's Bible. But that notebook wasn't just ink and paper, it was her blueprint for something bigger than herself. Room themes, menu ideas, lighting diagrams, volunteer rosters. Leia wasn't just planning a party, she was building a night these children would never forget. And this time, she wasn't doing it for validation, she was doing it because it mattered. Leia didn't want a nice Christmas, she wanted magic. So she turned her brownstone into a living dream, a place where forgotten children could feel remembered. She opened her notebook and titled the first page, Operation Holiday Light. Every room a different world, every detail carefully imagined. The sugar plum forest, a hallway transformed into a tunnel of twinkling fairy lights and candy-colored ornaments, paper lollipops, cotton candy clouds, sweet music drifting from hidden speakers. The North Pole kitchen, a warm, cinnamon-scented kitchen where kids would decorate cookies, stir cocoa, and bake with real chefs. Chef hats, flower fights, laughter in the air. The wish tree room, a glowing centerpiece. A tree covered in paper ornaments, each one handwritten by a child, containing their deepest wish. Wishes not for toys, but for things like, "I want my mom to smile again. I wish I could sleep without hearing shouting. I want someone to hug me when I get home." Leia stared at those words, and something shifted in her. This wasn't just a party. It was a mission to show 30 little hearts that they mattered, that someone saw them. That even just for one night, their world could be beautiful. It started with a phone call. Leia's agent had seen the Instagram post. "Is this real?" she asked. Leia nodded. "Completely. Because Food Network wants in." Leia blinked. "Wait, what?" Within 48 hours, a production team showed up with cameras, lights, boom mics, and a vision. Holiday Magic with Leia Monroe. The concept, a holiday special unlike any other. Not about fancy dinners or staged perfection, but about turning heartbreak into hope. The neighborhood buzzed. Neighbors who used to barely wave now brought cookies, blankets, even ornaments. "Your mom was at the co-op," Mrs. Bycham from next door whispered. She looked stunned. Leia smiled. She hadn't set out to prove anything, but she wasn't hiding anymore either. Inside her home, the crew captured it all, the planning, the joy, the sparkle, the purpose. A brownstone once ignored by family was now glowing across national TV. And the woman once called too much, she was finally seen. Not as dramatic, not as intense, but as something else entirely, extraordinary. The texts started pouring in, one after another. "Hey, we didn't mean to hurt you. You always take things so personally. Don't overreact, Leia." Leia stared at her phone, not angry, not surprised, just tired, because the messages weren't about her. They were about them, about what they were missing, the party that had become the talk of the town, the Food Network crews parked outside, the buzz, the headlines. Suddenly, the woman they once dismissed was at the center of something beautiful, and they weren't in the picture. That's when the tone changed. "Are you trying to embarrass us?" Alyssa says it's making things awkward for their engagement. Can't you just tone it down? It wasn't an apology. It was panic. Leia put her phone down and exhaled slowly. Because for the first time, the people who made her feel small were the ones feeling left out. The door creaked open. Cold air rushed in, and with it, Matt, Leia's younger brother, the golden boy, the one who once laughed at her spreadsheets, her lists, her dream. Now he stood frozen in the doorway. His eyes swept across the transformed brownstone, garlands draped from the staircase, gold stars hanging from the ceiling, candlelight dancing on every window pane. In the dining room, a 30-foot table glittered with hand-tied napkins and children's name tags. The air smelled like cinnamon, pine, and something else. Wonder. What is all this? Matt whispered. Leia didn't answer right away. She walked over, calm and grounded, and handed him a folder. Inside, handwritten letters, drawings, wishes, real hopes, from real children. This, she said softly, is what you used to call too much. Matt flipped through the pages, a crayon drawing of a family holding hands. A note that read, "Thank you for letting me feel special." Another, "This is my first Christmas with real lights." His hands trembled slightly. "Leia," but she stopped him gently. "You should probably go. Alyssa's family is waiting for you for that quiet dinner you all wanted so badly." She didn't say it with anger. She said it with freedom. Matt looked around one last time, and for the first time, he didn't see Leia as too much. He saw her as everything he had failed to understand. The snow was falling gently. The brownstone glowed like something out of a painting, windows lit with gold, music floating into the street. And then the door opened. One by one, they stepped inside. Little shoes padded across welcome mats. Coats were removed. Eyes grew wide. For many of the children, this was their first real Christmas. Not one on a screen, not one they peeked at through windows. This one was for them. The sugar plum forest sparkled in pink and lavender light. The North Pole kitchen bubbled with cocoa and laughter. And in the center of the living room stood the wish tree, tall, glowing, shimmering with dozens of paper ornaments. One child pointed, whispering, "That one, that's mine." Another gasped, "They actually made my wish come true." And yes, they did. Leia watched from the staircase, heart swelling, eyes glassy. She had dreamed of this moment, but reality was better. Not because it was perfect, but because it was true. It was quiet for a moment. Then a small voice echoed from the living room. "Miss Leia, come quick." She turned. It was Tommy, 8 years old, the quietest of them all. Always polite, always watching. But now he was holding something, a delicate paper ornament, hands shaking, eyes wide. "This one's mine," he whispered. Leia walked closer. The entire room seemed to hold its breath. On the ornament were just a few handwritten words. "You've been matched with your new family. They're here to meet you tonight." For a second, Tommy just stared. Then he broke. A single sob. Then another. Then full-on, unstoppable tears. "I have a family," Leia nodded. Across the room, a couple stepped forward, nervous, smiling, crying too, and Tommy ran, straight into their arms. The entire house went silent. Even the camera crew lowered their gear. No one could breathe, because in that moment, the magic wasn't a tree or cocoa or glittering stars. It was a boy finally going home. He had barely said a word all night. Leia's father stood near the fireplace, watching, absorbing, processing everything. The laughter of children, the glow of lights, the smell of cinnamon and belonging, and Leia, his daughter, not the dramatic one, not the too intense one, but the woman who had just made 100 people feel at home. Finally, he stepped forward. He didn't say much, just 2 words. "Princess," he whispered. Then he pulled her into a hug, a real one, not polite, not quick, but deep, tight from the part of him that never knew how to speak. "We forgot," he said softly, "what Christmas really means." Leia closed her eyes, letting the tears come. Because after all the silence, all the labels, all the rejection, her father finally saw her, not as too much, but as exactly enough. Her father wasn't the only one watching. Behind him stood her mother, and Alyssa, and Matt, all three of them silent, tearful, taking in the lights, the music, the children, the warmth. And Leia. They stepped inside, slowly, hesitantly, but with hearts open in a way they had never been before. No snide comments, no eye rolls, no jabs about being extra, just presence. Alyssa helps the kids frost cookies, Matt sang carols off-key but smiling. Leia's mother gently tucked scarves around the necks of children she didn't know. No one said, "You're doing too much." No one asked her to tone it down. For the first time, they didn't try to shrink her. They simply let her shine. That night, as the last ornament sparkled on the tree and the last child curled up with a book in the story corner, Leia stood by the window watching the snow fall, watching her family laugh with strangers and realizing something simple. Peace isn't found in silence. It's found in the joy of making others feel seen, in the glitter in a child's eye when their name is called, in the quiet smile of a mother finally able to exhale. It's not about dimming yourself to fit someone's comfort. It's about lighting the room so others can feel safe in it. That's what Leia had done, not out of pride, but out of purpose. So to you, dear listener, if you've ever been told you were too much, too loud, too passionate, too emotional, too precise, I want you to remember this. You are exactly what the world needs more of. Don't shrink. Don't apologize for caring deeply. Be the one who sets the table, lights the candles, wraps the gifts no one else thinks to give. That's not too much. That's magic. And you are the reason someone else might finally feel seen. Let me know in the comments what part of Leia's story stayed with you most. And if you've ever been called too much, just know you were never too much. You were just surrounded by too little. Life has a strange way of revealing who truly sees us. Sometimes the people we love the most may misunderstand our hearts the most. But that doesn't mean we need to dim our light, because the world doesn't need less passion. The world needs more people like Leia who care deeply, who give boldly, and who make magic from pain. So if you've ever been called too much, let that be your reminder. You are not too much. You were just too real for people still hiding. Build your table, invite the ones who see your worth, and never stop showing up with a full heart. If Leia's story touched you, or if you've ever felt like your light was too bright for the room, then this channel, Pieces of Soul, is your home. Subscribe, join the community, and let's keep telling stories that heal, empower, and remind us you are not alone, and your soul was never too much. Hit that subscribe button now because your voice belongs here.